Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You can see our faces if you're on YouTube, anyways. If you're still on audio, you can still hear our lovely voices. But Richard,
Hello, yeah, Inglorious Two Dimensions.
Inglorious Two Dimensions. So yeah, the Euros are here, and I thought it would be fitting to kind of make it an upgrade to the podcast and show our beautiful mugs to the rest of the world.
That's very subjective, yeah.
Well, maybe this podcast will probably also be a bit subjective from your point of view for Scotland and mine for Croatia, but hey, we're here. The Euros are in the Croatia game is in 4 days. Germany against Scotland is in 3 days.
Yeah.
So this is a Croatian football podcast, but let's start with that. How's Scotland doing?
We've not got any strikers, really. I don't know if you saw, was it, obviously Lyndon Dykes got injured.
Yeah.
Lawrence Shankland was taken out of training yesterday as a precaution. I think they're saying he's okay, but I mean, still, we don't really have any strikers. Our best attacking threat is McTominay, who, at the end of the day, is naturally a defensive midfielder. And yeah, I mean, the friendlies weren't great. We beat Gibraltar, which is more than we can say for the Welsh. But I mean, 2-0, it was still a bit of a struggle. And Finland, of course, it was 2-2. Yeah. Again, I don't know how much it matters, how much faith you want to place in friendly results. I think probably from your perspective, from a Croatian side, we want to put a lot of faith in the friendly results.
It matters a lot if you ask me.
But yeah, I'm not too optimistic. I think this time last week with everyone fit and sort of before we'd had the friendlies, I was feeling a bit better. But it seems Switzerland seemed to be a little bit better than I thought they were. Hungary seemed to be a little bit better than I thought they were, and Germany. So I'm just hoping, really, that we can get a draw on Friday. I mean, we can get a draw against any side in the Euros. We just can't beat them in terms of how the squad currently is.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the Wales result, and I'm like, how did we lose to those guys? 2-1. We consider two very stupid goals, and then they go against Gibraltar and play a 0-0. So there was a guy after we lost that posted, "You just got Rob Paged." He made a whole ass video for everybody that got Rob Paged. Well, Wales just got Rob Paged, so maybe you can use it on your own. But yeah, should we then move to Group B? Because
that's where the action is.
Yeah, do you agree that that's the group of death of the Euros?
I mean, I think certainly if you're Albanian, yeah. 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you probably, if you were Albanian, you sort of would hope, that you carried the form you had at the end of last year into the tournament, which you haven't really so much. And you'd hope that the Croatia of qualifying, which wasn't really that impressive, but Croatia never are in qualifying, would not improve. And the reverse has happened in both.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah, we are a tournament kind of team.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I probably 3 weeks ago, I think when we first talked about the squad, would have been thinking Croatia third in the group and looking to get through. Now I think it's second and can win the group.
Yeah, I think it's much closer than I thought it was a week ago. So I mean, a lot has changed. Obviously, we beat Macedonia very easily. Perisic kind of seems fit, kind of not, but it seems that Kramaric will start now on the left wing. I think that lineup against Portugal is the lineup we're gonna use. Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic. I think it's fair to say I've joined the hype train. The hype train is very big. I posted a poll after the Portugal game. How far do you think we'll go? 52% voted that we win the whole thing. So by a big majority, we're winning it, if you ask Croatian fans. But yeah, but there was a huge discussion, obviously, going on that we had, me and you, that we talked about, and that I had many discussions about in the interviews leading up to the tournament with many other people. Guardiola at left back. Now, I do prefer Sosa left back and Guardiola defense. I just feel safer, and I think we are better defensively. That's to be. But that Portugal game obviously showed that Guardiola can play that left back position at a world class level. So it's a 50-50 really for that now for me. I still prefer Sosa left back. How do
I
you
agree.
see it?
I agree purely because I think if you're going to be starting with Kramaric on the left wing, then he's always going to be looking to come inside.
Yeah.
So you need someone to be giving you the width, and Sosa is going to give you more width than Guardiola is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably fair to say we're at a point where we can trust Zlatko Dalic on his decisions on these sort of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
no questions.
It seems that Vardiol, whether he likes it or not, is going to be a left back full time going forward. And maybe he moves into being a centre back as he ages and gets different mobility. Ideally, you'd have three at the back and him playing a left centre back for his own development purposes.
Well, yeah, but
no one. He doesn't play for a side, either internationally or at club level that ever use that formation.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to specialize one way or the other, and it seems that left back is the best use for him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, best use. I really wouldn't say that, but I mean, it's a good use of him. I think he's brilliant at left back, but world class at center back.
I think the question is, and this is probably what Dalic is talking up in his head, is the drop off at left back between Vardiol and Sosa greater or smaller than the drop off between Vardiol and Bolic/Pongracic?
Yeah.
And he obviously thinks that he's more secure in the centre. As a whole. I don't know whether I agree with that. I mean, I prefer.
Yeah, neither do many people on Twitter. Granino, who's an amazing account for Croatian football, just anything tactics wise, the guy does a brilliant job. You just lose all of Guardiola's great abilities, world class abilities, when you put him on left back. But I mean, Pongracic is okay. Sosa obviously hasn't had a good season at Ajax. Nobody has. Schutel was under fire for a lot of the season, but I mean, you got to start Schutel no matter what, just because he's great on the ball. Pongracic is good on the ball. But yeah, I mean, it looked good against Portugal. I cannot debate that.
I mean, I think, and this is obviously where there is a bit of a difference. I think if you're playing Vardiol left back, you're naturally playing someone who isn't necessarily going to get forward as much, although he still does get forward plenty. But if you're playing Vardiol left back, then you probably should be playing Juranovic right back, because he naturally is just going to pound up and down,
especially if Meyer is on that side.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Stanisic has that wrapped up now, really.
I mean, I mean, he's especially he's going to be going against probably Nico Williams on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And Guardiola's going up against Lamine Yamal in the first game. And then against Italy, you're obviously going to go against, is it Bellanova and Di Marco?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so obviously...
We want to see Guardiola beat up a kid, basically.
Essentially, a 16-year-old just beat him up, Joshko. Joshko asked Dalic, what's the plan for this game? Just beat up the kid. Fair enough. But yeah, it's a solid plan. Another discussion was obviously Budimir Petkovic.
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I do think he's better, but Budimir has again and again showed that he just presses the back line, and when you have Meyer and Kramaric who come inside, they have more space because Budimir is constantly on that defense, just pushes them as far as he can and tries to make runs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is both in good form, and it's a nice problem to have. I mean, I think the real problem, not that it's a problem, has been Meyer's form, in terms of you actually have to move things around to accommodate him. If Meyer wasn't in the form that he's in, you wouldn't be playing Kramaric on the left wing, and you probably wouldn't be thinking about making other changes either. I mean, I would always tend towards Petkovic. I think obviously he likes to drop back into spaces as well, so he can hold up a little bit more creatively, as I think is what's the way to put it, for linking up with players running past him, as we saw obviously with the assist against Macedonia. Whereas Budimir, I mean, the unfortunate thing for Budimir is that he has never done it at international level. 3 goals in 21 games isn't okay. Almost all of those are from the bench, but it's not a very good record. And at the end of the day, Petkovic has better than 1 in 4, so you're naturally going to lean towards the guy who's scoring. And I think it's just Budimir is just the wrong age. It's come through at the wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, I do think Budimir will start. I don't think that's a question, obviously, because just he pressurizes the back line, and especially when you have, against Spain, Laporte and Lenormand, if you're just constantly pressurizing them, they might break. And he's obviously very good at positioning. I mean, that goal he scored against Portugal, he was just waiting, perfect position. If anything happened and something happened, and he put it in. So if we do get some kind of scrappy goal, he's probably gonna be the man to put it behind. Is it Simon in goal for Spain?
Usually,
yeah. So yeah, I like having these discussions because it means we have a good depth. We actually have good depth. We're actually speaking about who's gonna play, but this guy is very good, but he's gonna be on the bench. Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't a problem that we had 6 months ago. I mean, I think when we sort of originally talked about the squad a few weeks ago, Maya was the one who was not on the cusp of missing out, but he was the one whose form wasn't there at that particular time. And then, the past 2 games, friendly so they are, he's kind of made himself actually, you have to start me against Spain. Whether he delivers or not against that, I think there's still plenty of criticisms that I have about his game. But that's criticisms that I've had about his game since he first started at Lokomotiva 8 years ago, in terms of that he doesn't really score as much as a player who wants to reach the top level should. But that doesn't really matter too much in this sort of format for Croatia.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Another point of interest in the Portugal game was Brozovic. Many people were split. Many people said, he's very bad. Other people said that was a world-class performance. How did you see Brozovic's performance?
He wasn't sharp.
He wasn't, but I think he was okay. I don't think that's that much of an issue, especially when he's dropping in behind.
The job you want him to do is, like you say, drop in behind, run about, and run into people. And not necessarily link up the play that much, but have that positional awareness, like I say, for tackles, for knowing who to be challenging, for knowing where to be intercepting as well. Now, if he's not on it, then that's going to be exposed very quickly against Spain. But by the same way, playing against Portugal, you play against a side who are not necessarily reasonably similar, but have a similar talent level in the vision in midfield as well. So you are taking on similar challenges, and whether he excelled or not, obviously it was a very good team performance which nullified Portugal. So whatever his individual contribution was, it worked. And he's the one in the midfield where there isn't really someone you would automatically say, all right, we'll just put you in there and you'd be like for like.
Yeah, another thing I saw, which I'm going to bring up actually, because we can now bring it up, was a brilliant tactical analysis from, as you can see on the bottom, Druga Perspektiva. If you search that up, if you're Croatian, you'll understand everything that's written on the bottom left. Which, Richard, I hardly believe that you can read Croatian. But anyways, as you can see, our build-up is very similar to the box midfield that City uses. Brozovic, as I said, drops to basically create a defensive line of 3 with Pongracic and Šutalo, and then you have Stanisic and Guardiola going very wide and just getting you that width that we spoke about that Sosa brings better, just because he can cross the ball, and especially when Budimir's up there, you get a lot more. And then we have basically where we're playing and the zone that we want to use. As you can see, we build up with 6 players minimum, which is, I think it's pretty good. Sometimes we can also build up with 7 if Meyer drops or Kramaric. Then you have 7 players on your own side, or Guardiola even can go inside or just stay on the defensive side to just get the ball out. So that also helps us. And if we lose the ball, immediately, you can immediately win it back, which also helps you, and it can distort the opponent's defensive phase. And then, I mean, who do you want to build up the play more than Modric, Kovacic, and Brozovic, and then obviously Šutalo, but Pognacic isn't that good. He does good enough of a job. But, I mean, we did this perfectly against Portugal, especially in these few opening minutes where we just had chance after chance after chance. And obviously, this is where Kovacic, for example, is positioned a bit higher. Modric isn't dropping back. Brozovic isn't really fully dropped back. So, that gives more space to the center backs so they can build up play. You can pass it to Guardiola. You can easily switch sides, which... and also, when Perisic came on in the second half, Guardiola was dropping more into the midfield, which he does more for City, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just speaking what I think. I'm just waiting for you to add anything.
Well, the Instagram analysts have done it for me. I mean, I think with Portugal, I mean, the one thing that sort of seen with Portugal in this game and also in the friendly with Slovenia in March is that if you are sort of building slowly, they for some reason don't seem to actually cope that well with it. They don't cope well with changes of pace.
Yeah, they don't.
And that's quite a big problem. And it's quite a surprising problem given that, obviously Saturday's squad was without, the black hole up front of Ronaldo. It's troubling for them. But I mean, that was the same with Belgium under Martinez as well. Yeah. And obviously we saw how things happened in Qatar for them there. I think the big difference for Croatia now compared to Croatia 2 years ago, well, not even 2 years ago, 18 months ago, is you sort of have the emergence of mine, an emergence of a different outball in a different direction, that Kramaric, the Vlasic, Pasic didn't really offer. And someone who can, like I say, easily just rotate in with, like I say, a midfield 3, because technically he is the level of them. It's different aspects of his game which are the issue. And let's say, I mean, I think I've said on here before, I'm not a big fan of 3 at the back, and it shows well here, because the reason why I'm not a big fan of 3 at the back is because I like seeing that holding midfielder drop back and become your 3 when you're in an attacking phase with the other 2 centre backs, so that you always have the cover, but then you also have an extra outball, so you can cycle the ball around the back quickly and just keep the movement, and also on top of that push fullbacks up, so you're creating different spaces and different problems for sides.
Another thing that Dalic allows the midfield, especially for example Meyer, as you can see, Meyer is the player on the top on the line that's showing up, which he's a right winger when he starts, so you get a lot of freedom. Who gets the most freedom is Modric, Kovacic, and even Brozovic, but Brozovic has now been a bit more limited because obviously we're not as safe as we used to be with Guardiola, so Brozovic now probably provides that more cover since Guardiola is on the left side. And here we just see what that freedom does. You see Modric moving up and you see a lot of space. Budimir also doing a great job, as I previously said, just being on that defensive line, just being on that back four and just constantly making them stay where they are. They can't take anybody on, because if they do that, Budimir is left free and all you need is a through ball, and with our midfield, very easily done. And here you can obviously see Modric moving on the right wing, Meyer dropping into midfield, just the space. And Budimir also does this part, as you can see him in between the two center backs. keeping them on, because if they go for Meyer, Stanisic can play a ball to Modric, and Bodimir has a lot of space to run into the box. And we also like, obviously, to play on one side, so the other side is mostly free, which possession-based sides always do. Spain is probably gonna dominate us with possession. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, and we just defend a lot in the first game. So yeah. And obviously, same thing here. Every single midfielder, Meyer drops deep, Stanisic goes up, and I mean, you have the 4 midfielders all there. Brozovic obviously making that still the center back in the build up, and this is where everybody was on that side. And Guardiol, this is, I think, Guardiol's best. He just did a great job here. So obviously we have the ball on the left. Brozovic comes in. Meyer gets the ball to him. Or is that Stanisic? Anyways, Stanisic gets the ball to Brozovic, and Brozovic just switches the side to Guardiol, who's just has acres of space to run into, which he did, and then he finished it off with a shot, which I think got blocked, and I mean, it was a great chance. And Guardiol just is brilliant attacking wise. Not brilliant, but very good.
Yeah, he's hard to stop.
Yeah, he's hard to stop. So that's the short tactical analysis. There were also a few more I saw from a few more guys, which are very good. But this is more about the Portugal game. The others were in general about Croatia. So yeah. Should we get onto the opponents, as we have a little bit about Spain? Should we cover Spain a bit?
Yeah, I mean, they're my favourites for the whole
favorites
tournament.
For the group. Oh, the whole tournament.
For the whole tournament, yeah. I don't know why. I just think
no idea. Just pick them.
Yeah, no. I just think, I think when you're in the run up to a tournament, you're generally looking not necessarily for reasons to back a side, but for reasons to rule them out. And I've got least reasons to rule Spain out, because at the end of the day, they have strength everywhere. Okay, there are a few areas where Morata, Yoselu, are that really the best strikers you can put forward even into a squad? Never mind anything, but they also have very good records at international level. It's just your question as to whether with Spain, people have tended to find them out. Croatia nearly did it last year. And nearly did it in 2021. I think we saw it. Yeah, and when they get found out, they're a very, very uninspiring side, because at the end of the day, they're just passing around, and it's not very interesting if we're honest. Yeah. But that's much easier said than done, and I think there's fewer questions about them than there are the other major contenders. I mean, I would say for Spain and France, I think are the top two. But then you have a range of maybe 4 or 5 just in behind, of which Croatia are one.
Yeah, I mean, Spain's also another problem. Their attack, as you said, Morata just isn't in form. So if he isn't in form, you need Yamal to provide. You need anybody else really to provide that. But they will probably supply Morata, so it's really up to him if he'll finish those chances, which he did a few years ago, and he has done normally on a good level, but needs to really step it up if Spain were to go all the way.
Yeah, it's almost like Lukaku in Qatar.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, there's no better way to go into a tournament than having scored 10 goals in your last 2 games. Now, okay, they played Andorra, but
and the Northern Ireland.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, that was also another point I wanted to bring up. What kind of preparation is that?
I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's.
I mean, it's probably just to get them scoring and just
it gets you confident.
Space. Yeah,
it gets you confident. I mean, at the end of the day, if we were coming to this episode as okay, Portugal have just won 2-0, you wouldn't be particularly optimistic. I would presume your poll wouldn't have been 52% saying we're going to win the Euros. It would have been, are we going to get out of the group? Yeah. So I think having just 2 real confidence boosting friendlies isn't a bad tactic. And I think particularly if you're not having to really extend yourselves after a long season, which most of these Spain players will have played almost all of it, then it's nice to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, yeah, I was just looking at that. I'm like, okay, well, you guys score. Hopefully that disappears against us. Hopefully they get used to that, and then they come up against our defense, and they're like, well, we can't get anything through.
Yeah,
What do we
these aren't Andorran plumbers.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Like this isn't is it Johnny Evans? Yeah, Johnny Evans played is the captain of the Northern Ireland side, and this isn't Johnny Evans.
Yeah.
But obviously they have Rodri, which just a whole nother level.
Well, he doesn't like Scotland much, but yes.
Well, yeah, he
You don't
doesn't like
him much
Scotland. Well, yeah, but their defense, as I already mentioned, Lenormand and Laporte, they're not really fast. The only problem is we don't have fast players, so we can't really abuse their poor pace with players going in behind.
No, I mean that is one thing. They are. It's certainly for the age profile of that defense. It's not the most experienced defense you've ever seen. If that makes sense. Nacho 34, 25 caps. Danny Carvajal has only got 44 caps, and you think, okay, he's been around years and been making an impact at the top club level for years, but he's never really necessarily gotten the big international career that you'd have expected from him. So, like I say, I mean, I think there are doubts about them, but there's also a lot that's good about them. And really, it's like I say, if they're in possession, it doesn't really matter how good their defense is because you're going to have to break on them. And if you're not equipped to do that, or you don't necessarily get the look in that, then it will be oppressive.
Yeah, and they also have a very high press, which is obvious for a Spanish side. They just press high, and that defensive line is just on the middle of the pitch. So, and sadly, we don't have any fast players. Maybe Marko Pasalic if you need a goal. If you're really struggling, so you can bring him on and just try something. But I'm fine with a draw in the first game. It's the same. It's the same group I see as the one we had in Qatar. First game, just get a point, especially now in the Euros where with a third place you can go through, especially if you get 4 points, which a draw against Spain, you beat Albania, that's 4 points, you're 100% going through, no questions. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a game of where Spain probably has more of the ball, we're just defending well, and if somebody gets a chance, they have to use it because I don't think anybody's going to have two, or I don't think anybody's going to have more than two chances.
Yeah, I mean, even when Spain aren't good, you very rarely see them beaten by more than one goal. Or beaten comprehensively. It is always the case, like say, of making the most of one or two chances.
Yeah, and I mean, they lost against Morocco on penalties. They lost against they beat us only for free. Who did they lose? Actually, they lost on penalties to Italy in Euro 2021. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And in 2018 lost to Russia. They've never really been beaten, is what we're trying to say. So yeah. Italy. Should we move on to Ciao Bella?
Yeah. I don't fancy them.
Nah, I
think the problem is, and it's going to be quite similar to what was just said about Spain, is whatever you think about what they've got playing, they don't have anyone who scores goals.
Skamaka's up in the attack, but
he's only scored once for So you're looking at someone really to do a lot better than they have historically in the Azzurri to actually get them out of this group. Ultimately, and I think that even will count against Albania. They could struggle from that.
Yeah, and that would be a fierce match just because of ties. I think Italy Albania. And
Yeah.
if Albania get a result, then I wouldn't be surprised if they could put a greater match against us or even Spain.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I've watched them against Bosnia. It wasn't
that great.
It wasn't that great. It was quite similar to the England Bosnia game last week in respect of Bosnia were putting out really its absolute second string team because of all the call offs they had in the squad. So you had as defensive a lineup as you could possibly get, and just to sit and frustrate you with 2 Bundesliga players and worse. That was all they could. That was what they had to put out. But unlike England, it was only 1-0. England were able to break them down and at the end win very comfortably 3-0. In this, Italy didn't, and I think probably more tellingly, I think against England, Bosnia had 1 shot, not on target, just 1 shot.
Yeah.
Against Italy, they had 7 shots. They actually had decent chances.
They had a very good chance.
Yeah. So I would say if you are struggling to beat Bosnia, and if we get onto Ukraine later, if you are struggling to beat Bosnia, you are not a big contender for this tournament, because I've watched enough of Bosnia over the past 12 months to know they are absolutely terrible right now.
Yeah. Who's whoever has Bosnia in their Nations League group, I forgot what their Nations League group is.
The Nations League group is because they got promoted to Group A.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say. They're just gonna get battered again and again.
Netherlands, Hungary, Germany.
Oof. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the joke. That's the joke that was going around. Well, at least you guys are going to Germany, but in the Nations League.
Yeah. So they're the Albania of that group.
But Italy also, as you mentioned, they didn't have a good qualifying campaign. It was very on strings and just getting through in the very last game. And you can say in the very last minute, because I think Ukraine should have had a penalty in that game in the very last moments. So they really got away with it. But I still do think they would have qualified for Path A, because Path A wasn't really that hard.
Yeah, I think the qualifying campaign was a bit weird in regards of they seem to do well against the good sides. We know Ukraine are a decent side. 1 win and a draw isn't too bad, but then you look at their results against obviously England, pretty handfully at Wembley, drawing against again a second string really North Macedonian side in Skopje. That it was not a good result at all.
No, I mean Milevski is the manager, and he's absolutely, probably the worst manager in the Balkans, which is saying a lot, knowing his competition.
We might get onto that competition later, but he's one of those who seems to just be very bad in people's estimations, and then just get one really good result, and then back up.
Yeah, he just does enough.
Yes. Sorry, I should say, if you are listening to the audio version of that, I was making hands symbols to go about the Macedonian before with this. I think the positives that Italy have, and they are the obviously archetypal positives, they have a good defense, and they are able to do well in possession, and at the end of the day, from a coaching perspective, Spalletti's a very good manager.
Yes, I mean, but the only problem with Spalletti is you cannot implement your system into a national team.
No,
it really you need a lot of time to even try to do that, let alone accomplish it.
Yeah.
But the only positive thing for me in Italy's side, which I'm worried about, is their left-hand side, which is Darmian. Sorry. Oh, see, I forgot his name. Di Marco and Chiesa, obviously on the left-hand side, both very fast. Chiesa, I mean, if he's on his day, Stanisic will have he cannot do much if Chiesa is on his day. Hopefully he isn't, because Stanisic will have a lot of work to do in that game, and I think our setup for that third game against Italy should be with Pasalic on the right wing, just because he can do a lot defensively more than Meyer, for example.
Yeah, that would absolutely. Maybe see. I think you sort of make those third game decisions after the second one, because hopefully at that point, we might be talking about them.
Yeah, hopefully at that point we're first, and we're just sending our B team to play.
Yeah,
Marco Pasalic, Marco Piazza. You give even some minutes to Luka Sucic. You start Luka Sucic, and you're just like, hey, if we get a result, we get a result.
Yeah, if we see the Rijeka players, we know the chilling. The Rijeka or Augsburg players, I should say, with Labrovic move in there today.
Yeah, we have a lot of news containing the HNL, but as a Hajduk fan, I do not want to mention it. Zero mentions.
We'll leave that one then.
We'll leave that for before the season starts. Currently, for the next month, it's Euro.
Not Euro.
Fuck. So, okay, you know what? Let me just give it a little story. So yesterday I had my big exam, my Matura exam. If you're Croatian or ever in the Balkans, you know what a Matura is. It's the big exam you need to write and you need to pass if you want to go into college. I had the first exam, which is from English, very easy for me. Didn't have much trouble doing it. I come outside, I open up my phone, I see a missed call from my mom, and I'm like, okay. And then I see news, Juric deal with Hajduk falls through. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I went to sleep seeing that Juric will become the new Hajduk manager in the coming days, maybe even tomorrow. I wake up, go to the Matura, finish it, Juric is out. And now Hajduk is just in a hellscape. It's just if they can get anybody in as manager, it's good. Anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent because I would love to, but this is a
Albania.
Yeah, Albania. We've never played them, so no history with Albania.
Well, should we get? I do the little fact, the fun fact. Like you say, you've never played Albania before. After beating Portugal, there are only four nations in Europe who Croatia haven't won a game against.
Wait, let me. Luxembourg.
Yes.
Have we played Northern Ireland?
You've beaten Northern Ireland, yeah.
Okay. Who else? Montenegro. We never played Montenegro, I think. Who else? So there's two more.
Yeah, Albania, obviously, because as you mentioned, you haven't played them, and one more.
No, we played Liechtenstein, right?
You have, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no idea.
It's the Faroe Islands.
Oh, I was going through the map in my head. The UK, all the teams in the UK, yes. I was just going through, and I'm like, no, Luxembourg, yes, okay.
Yeah, you just forgot about the middle of the sea.
Yeah. Completely we never played the Faroe. I mean, it's probably for the better, knowing that they can be a dangerous side to play against.
Yeah, well, hopefully that can get rectified in the next couple of qualifying campaigns. And then you can be masters of Europe.
Yeah, so if you follow the HNL religiously, as I do, as most of you do, listening to the podcast, you will see some familiar names in the Albania squad, especially in attack. Mirlin Daku. I probably won't start, but you may get a few minutes. I think Broja is set to start for Albania. No, I think that's even up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those, like I say, if you're familiar with the HNL or if you're familiar with Kosovo, you'll recognize a lot of people from the Albania squad.
You're familiar with the entire squad. Also, Albert Hoxha is in the team, so maybe he gets a few minutes, even though I don't think he played in these friendlies they played.
Yes, he has, because he only switched nationality in March, I think.
Yeah, he didn't play against Azerbaijan. Against Liechtenstein.
He switched nationality very recently.
Yeah, I know that. Oh, he started against Liechtenstein, but it's Liechtenstein.
But, I mean, he might not play too much because I think in terms of his competition is Mucci, and you don't drop Mucci.
No, you don't. Another player you will most likely be familiar with is Ardian Ismaili in the defense, currently playing for Empoli still after moving from Hajduk. I think there's another name that I'm, because every single of these names I can say, oh yeah, I'm familiar with them, but I don't know if they played in the HNL. Has Bayrami played in the HNL?
But
No,
he has not. No.
no. I think somebody else has played in the HNL. I just can't, I just can't put my finger on it. But yeah, essentially, you'll know some of these players, and that's pretty much all that I can tell you about Albania. And I can also tell you about their qualifiers. If you don't know, Albania obviously won their group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they won their group, and just how did they win it? A bunch of bangers from outside the box, just
Yeah.
top corner
The
nonstop.
this is the thing with Albania, and I suppose probably this bit where I chat on a bit because I know a bit about the squad.
Yeah,
Is they were very good in qualifying, and I think one of the key elements they had for that was the performances of Yassir Asani, who was responsible for most of those bangers.
yeah,
Very good from set pieces. The problem he's had is he's playing in Korea, and basically hasn't played league football much this year at all because he fell out with his club because he wanted to move to Europe. He just thought, I can be Misa Vorsic. So there you go. But yeah, so that's sort of been the big concern. And I suppose on top of that has been sort of injuries. Bro has obviously had injuries over in recent past as well. Kind of, there's just sort of feeling everyone's gone off form, and then also just some of the players who were dropped this time. I think most people expected, Sikaleshi to be going. He's not. Mito Azuni.
yeah.
Again,
He just hasn't played for his team, and I
Yeah,
don't think he's also not, I think, in good relations with the manager.
Yeah.
Silvino.
Yeah. So there's bits and bobs of issues there that weren't there through the qualifying campaign. I think that's really the main issue they've got, is that I think if you watch Albanian qualifying and you like them during qualifying, this is dire Albania. Which is still a good side. I think still someone to be very wary of. Obviously mentioned Ernest Mucci. Yeah, I think Ernest Mucci is probably the one player at the Euros who I can actually say, as a scout, I have tried to sign this man. Because first came across and watched him at Touranment, and he's an absolutely brilliant player. At Besiktas now. Ramadani is very good defensive midfielder. So they have solidity there. They have players who can hurt you, but I think, sort of like you said from during qualifying, I think the way they're going to hurt you is if they do something exceptional from an individual contribution, rather than necessarily they are going to outplay you. On their day, they can get a result against anyone in this group. There's no doubt about that, because on their day they just go from 30 yards. But that's not a sustainable game plan, unfortunately. You can't rely on it. And while it's sad in a way that they're going to come to these Euros and essentially just get beaten up 3 times, that's probably is their place right now, because of the stature of the sides around, and also because of the form of the sides around them. And also the style, they're not a stylistic match for the sides around them. You talk about who they had in qualifying, you have Poland. Poland are an okay side. They're not a great side.
They are.
They're getting worse side.
They are, especially with the aging Lewandowski. They're just, they're not there.
And the same with the Czechs as well. They're an okay side. They're not a great side. That was a group ultimately where Moldova nearly qualified. And best will in the world. I do watch a bit of Moldovan football, but they definitely aren't good. I know they're not good. So getting through convincingly flatters them a bit, and they've dropped off a bit as well. They'll be happy to have had 2 good friendly performances. But this is, all 3 sides in this group are a step up from anything they've played in the past 2 years.
It really is, especially as you already mentioned, the group wasn't that. If they had a good team, at least a good. I mean, Czechia is a good side, but it's not that side to say, hey, Albania isn't better than Czechia. They're pretty similar on level, and they finished on equal points. So that also shows. But it wasn't that tough of a group. They got through amazingly, as we said, just goals. So hopefully our defense does its job and our midfield is able to close down any attempts of going inside and trying to shoot.
Yes.
So should we predict the group? How do you see the group? Since you said Spain winning the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, I think Spain on 7. Let's go with Croatia 5, Italy 4, Albania 1.
Yeah, 1.
Is that 1? I can't remember
Wait.
the math. Maybe not Albania. Maybe Albania 0.
Yeah,
1. Whatever's left over.
I think Albania 0 because Italy wins the game against Albania, draws against us. We draw. Yeah, 0. I can only agree with you, but maybe the only change maybe is Spain win all 3 games, but I don't want to say that because getting 0 losses in the group is very good, and I don't want to head into the last match as we did against Scotland in Euro 2021, where we have to win it, otherwise we're out. So
I mean, it could be a bit like against England in 2021, not in terms of result, but just in terms of actually both sides are kind of happy with just taking a point and having a really dull game.
Yeah, because you're through no matter what.
Yeah.
So I also think that's gonna influence our first game, maybe even every game between the big hitters, where you're just like, hey, we can just draw. We all beat Albania. We just draw. We're all through. No, everybody's on 5 points. You're going through. Who scores the most goals against Albania wins the group. Deal done.
Yeah.
That's the deal. But I hardly believe that would be the case, even though I would love to see that happen. But should we predict the rest of the groups? Because
yes, let's.
And I can do that. Let me share my screen because I can do that.
Well, I mean, I know where I'm probably going to put Scotland, and I'm sorry.
Here they first.
That's very optimistic. I'm assuming that wasn't pre-prepared.
No. Should we just do it?
I think so. Unfortunately, I mean, I think we stand a chance against Hungary. We stand a chance against Switzerland.
I think you stand a chance against against those two, but
we stand a chance against Germany. I think I said at the start. I think we can draw against any side in that group. We can draw. We can get 3 points, but we'll be getting 3 times 1 point.
Well, that's still enough. If you get 3 draws, that should be enough to get you through. Because you have a 0 goal difference.
I can confirm that 150 years of football history in Scotland will thoroughly disagree with you there. We will find a way. If there is a way to get knocked out, we find it.
You do, you really do. There was a brilliant Copa 90 documentary on Scotland where they obviously watched the match against Croatia and they were like, well, we've lost again.
Yeah.
So I think we could agree. I will actually agree with this. I think Hungary finishes second.
Yeah, I think so. Murat Yakin isn't very popular and hasn't been very good. For Switzerland, the kind of Kosovan/Albanian cheat code that they've been using hasn't worked as well as players are starting to age up. I think, that seems pretty fair. Yeah,
and I mean, they're also missing Alaba, which very very big player who's also he will. Well, technically they're not missing him because he's actually gonna go to the Euros, just isn't gonna play. He's just gonna be a moral support to the team.
That's like Vida, but not taking up a squad place.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if we did that. You just get, but you could get Kotarski in, and you're just like, hey, Vida, you just want to have a vacation in the Euros? Well, I'm fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's the Group B. So I as we already said,
That
Spain, Croatia, Italy, Albania. I think this is I think this is the biggest question. Italy before Croatia or behind Croatia?
I mean, I think we both think behind, obviously for the reasons were mentioned. But I think it will be 3 teams getting out of that group either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's that team, and I think Group D will also have 3 teams going out. But we'll get to Group D. Group C. We wish this would happen.
I mean, this is. I think after the past week, it's the most interesting group.
Yeah, very interesting
in the Euros. I mean, obviously, I can go on a bit about these ones, as you can probably guess. And I will be going on quite a bit about Serbia and Slovenia sort of separately in separate places. But I mean, I think I would have had this time last week Serbia as they will be bottom, they will be embarrassed, they will be kicked upon. It will be terrible. Then they go and picks decides, hey, let's actually play 3-5-2, which actually fits the squad we have and the weird ass squad I've picked. And lo and behold, even though they don't put in a really good performance, they beat Sweden.
They still won. They still won.
Yeah.
They have to be very clinical on their day, but that's that's all they need. And they also need was it Trajkovic goal that saved a lot of chances?
Yeah. I mean, it probably won't be Trajkovic, it'll probably be Vanya.
Most likely.
The Euros. But I mean, it sort of gives you, from a Serbian perspective, optimism that they're actually going to do something.
And Fabrizio Romano also placed them above us.
Yeah, but I mean,
what does he know about football? He only knows about transfers.
Exactly. He knows about what he gets paid for. Let's be honest. And then, obviously, from the other, from sort of a negativity side, obviously England losing to Iceland as well. That has
very funny.
A lot. But on top of that, I mean, I think you talk about the squad that he's picked. I mean, obviously, he dropped Maguire and Branthwaite.
Very, very bold from Southgate.
It is, because I think there are 2 defenders you want against Serbia, against a team that basically you put 2 big lads up front and just try and win headers against you all day. You want Slabhead in Maguire and Branthwaite, who is similar, but similar stature, similar talents, just a bit more cultured.
You just need one of them.
Yeah, but I can see England losing that game now. I mean, I think
I think that game could be very high scoring. Just because Serbia can be, they are very open. They can just concede chances, which we saw against Sweden. And I think that England side, especially that attack, will take those chances. And then obviously England's defense doesn't really suit up to Serbia, so Mitrovic can do something, Vlahovic can do, anybody can do something against England. Now that Island has beaten them.
It's weird. And I mean, on the other hand, you've got Slovenia, who are going to be the most tactically solid team probably in these entire Euros. In terms of how they're going to set up, they're going to be so difficult to break down, and I don't want to say dull to watch, but you sort of, I think they're not necessarily going to be one for the neutrals. I mean, I think if you asked me a week ago, I said England top, Denmark second, Slovenia third.
Slovenia third.
But if you asked me a week ago,
a week ago,
I'm gonna stick with it. I do think Slovenia will beat Serbia. I just don't have faith in Pixie.
I don't think anybody has.
Pixie. And we just saw it at the World Cup. It's at some point Serbia have just a mental breakdown. And that will cost them. It doesn't just cost them a game, it costs them a tournament. They had it against Cameroon, they had it against Switzerland as well. Okay, they've not got Switzerland this tournament. Maybe we can see if maybe in the knockouts if they get through.
It's finally the time. I disagree that Slovenia will beat Serbia. I think Serbia Slovenia I think will prove to be a great match against anybody. We'll just defend, just try to not be humiliated. I don't think they will succeed in not being humiliated. An example, not conceding more than 4. I think they'll be able to do that. I hope. I
That's
hope for
pessimistic.
I hope for more than 3. I was going more in the perspective of more than 3.5.
Okay.
A 3-0 loss, like a 3-0 loss, is acceptable, right? So yeah, I disagree with you there, but I think this is it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I
Then
think it's that middle game. Serbia Slovenia is the
yeah,
one that decides it, really, isn't it?
yeah, who's gonna go? Well, who has a chance to go through as the third side?
Yeah.
Group D, which is by the ELO ratings, the group of death, because you obviously have France, Netherlands, Austria, and the very poor Poland.
Yeah, I mean, we could leave Poland there.
Yeah,
I don't think
there's
any
no
doubt
need to
there.
move them.
No.
I France are probably the winners of this competition for me. I've done I've done predictions with a few friends, and it was like in between a few weeks, and every time I just had France winning.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said when I was talking about Spain, Spain and France are the two sides that are the first echelon of favourites for me. Again, they've just got the least weaknesses in that side.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip, like Paul Merson on Sky Sports News. It's like, what position are France better than England in?
Oh my god!
Like, well, the world champions, mate.
Well, they were, but they were also in the final, and they also beat you guys in the quarterfinal.
Exactly, and okay, that was it was a very competitive game.
Yeah, it was.
But still, they're not a worse side than they were 18 months ago.
No, no.
I mean, Austria are a dangerous side in that group.
Yeah, they could. I don't really rate the Netherlands. That's purely because of the fact we easily beat them. Well, easily.
And Frankie's not there as well now.
Yeah, and well, when I say easily, we beat them. If Croatia beats you by 4 goals, if you concede 4 goals to us, who barely score anyways, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, Austria obviously missing Alaba. I'll stick to this. Even though I think in any of these groups, I think anything can happen, because I don't think the expected winners of the groups will win the groups. At least one of them.
No,
I think at least in one group you'll have.
I think England. I think of the big sides of obviously we saw what happened to Belgium in Qatar, and many sides previously. The big sides who you just like at this tournament, their era is coming to a screeching halt. I think England are the ones who are at biggest risk of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Group E: Belgium, Ukraine, Romania, and Slovakia.
I mean, I think let's be honest. I think from a neutral's perspective, that's just the group people are going to be like, oh, do you know, I can watch something else while this is on.
Meanwhile, I think anybody here can really put up a fight against anybody they play.
I think I've seen quite a few people say Romania are dark horses. Because Croatia obviously now cannot be dark horses.
Yeah, obviously.
So I think it'd be nice to see Romania do well, because they've not really. It doesn't feel like they've been at that level for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't fancy Slovakia.
I don't think anybody does. I don't think they fancy themselves either.
No. So I mean, again, it's between 3, isn't it? Much like the previous group, you can pick 4th, and really, I think with the other 3, you can just put them in any order, and you could probably be right. Belgium, going to watch them against Montenegro. They were not good. Montenegro, I think 2-0. I think it was off the top of my head, but that was because they had one good half, and Montenegro didn't turn up until the second half. When Montenegro turned up, like, okay, you're like, Brosnetski's actually got a really good side here. So, Belgium aren't. They're not even in that sort of second rung of favourites to me now.
Yeah, neither to me. They just haven't done it.
No,
I mean, this is the end. This is the last tournament their golden generation has, if they can do anything. But I doubt it.
But I think their window for doing anything really was.
Yeah, it passed.
It's passed.
2018 was their best shot. But the problem
Yeah.
is that was the best shot for France too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I'll stick with this. I think Ukraine win the group, Belgium second, Romania third.
Yeah.
You agree?
And then, yeah, I can stick with that. I don't think it's there's a paper between them.
Yeah. Group F, the last group, obviously Portugal against who Croatia just played in the friendly. Turkey, Georgia, first ever big tournament, and Czechia.
I mean, again, it's one. I don't want to automatically just put Georgia bottom. I think they're capable of getting points.
A result
in two games. I think they're probably capable of getting third. Ahead of Turkey.
Yeah, it could be close between them two.
Turkey just tend to not do well at tournaments. It feels.
Listen, they're the dark horses again.
Well, I've just said that about Romania.
Just put the label of dark. Just put the label of dark horse to Turkey, and they're just gonna capitulate.
But I mean, if I use the logic I've used in lots of places to push Slovenia, which is Georgia have the best side in the group last. So you have the best side in the group who are probably going to be putting out the seconds. So you've got a chance of getting a point there. If you can get a point or even 3 in any other game, you're probably through. So I can see Georgia getting out of this group.
I can see anything happening in this group except Portugal not finishing first.
Yes.
Even though they have issues which was shown against us, but I still do think that
they're a level above these.
They are way above Czechia, Georgia, and Turkey. Even though Turkey did beat us, but that was just that it was Croatia making things tough for ourselves. So why is Romania already placed to go through? What? Anyways,
I agree.
Yeah. So Italy, and I said obviously Austria, I think beats Poland. I just think Poland gets 0 points.
Yeah.
I don't think they get a win or a draw.
Which leaves Romania. It won't be Switzerland.
Yeah, I think I can see it just where Switzerland draw against Hungary and you guys, and it's just 2 points.
Yeah. So.
And who else?
Georgia for the lols.
I mean, we could do it for the lols, just to get Pixie kicked out. It's just by 1 goal. It's by 1 goal. So yeah, should we do the knockouts or are we gonna leave it there? Because I already said France win it. You said Spain win it.
Yeah, I think we're clear on that one, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. We leave it there. So before you leave, because you gotta leave soon. So before I'm left on my own, we obviously had a few questions come in, which I need to find. So give me a second. How much time do we have left? 10 minutes?
I'm fine for 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Let me find that. Still scrolling. I probably
too much.
Yeah, especially now. Anyways, the questions we have is from Andrew Denlon. What do you think will be the front three of the Euro to start the Euros, or even your predicted 11? So we can just I can give my prediction for the starting 11. You can too. What I said in the before is the starting lineup against Portugal is, I think, 99% the starting lineup against Spain.
Yeah, I think the only questions you have really are Maya, which was purely in terms of form. Again, I think 2 weeks ago maybe he wouldn't have started, but again, I don't think you can leave him out now.
Yeah.
See, central who he's partnering should look in central defense, and then like I said, Petkovic or Budimir.
I think Budimir is set now. The only question I see is Perisic or Kramaric on the left, but I think Kramaric starts and then Perisic, same thing as against Portugal. Perisic comes on in the second half and then plays 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's the limit of him probably at this tournament. Unfortunately,
Yeah, probably for now.
It's what he did. It's what he did well at Hajduk.
Yeah, and I think that's great for us because Perisic can just with one dribble and one cross change the entire game.
Yeah.
So, this is our best depth we've ever had. So we have many good players on the bench. Sucic is great. Pasalic is good. He can bring something on when he comes on. We have Mario Pasalic is on the bench, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Petkovic also, we already mentioned. You already said Erlic or Pongracic to partner Šutalo. I think it's Pongracic now, especially considering the season that's behind Pongracic and especially behind Erlic. Erlic got relegated with Sassuolo, while Pongracic had an okay season with Lecce. So
yeah, and Šutalo came out and said he just felt he'd never played alongside Pongracic before, but was just like, oh, okay, we're like psychic guys.
Yeah. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't really need that much. You're two defenders. All you need to do is just you pass the ball. You don't really need that connection that maybe Vidal overhad, which they needed to because they had their flaws.
Yeah, but these, I mean, both are better. I mean, both are better with the ball at feet than either Vida or Lovren.
Yeah, which just helps us in the build-up, which we already mentioned. But a similar question comes from Matt. What's the best attacking front row combination for the opening match and the remaining matches if different? Is it better to select based on form or style? So obviously, as I said, first game, I think it's Kramaric, Budimir, Mayer from left to right because Kramaric will be on the left. Italy, I already said it, Pasalic, maybe Perisic if he's then fit to start a game, but I doubt it. So I think it's either Mayer on the left or Kramaric on the left, but Pasalic has to be on the right just to help just defend against Chiesa and Di Marco. With Stanisic.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that's slightly different is just because of the team standard. It is the Albania game.
Yeah, I don't know what I think. Maybe Petkovic starts against Albania.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think the thing with Petkovic is that if we've seen the run of the season, he's just clutch as anything, and you want him to get minutes, but you probably want him fit so he can give you 90 minutes in the knockout stages.
Yeah,
because I think that's when he will come into his own. Whereas Budimir, maybe if he's not entirely flying, that's the sort of games he'll find more difficult. And realistically, from a possession sense, Spain is the game where you play Budimir because you need that target, but the rest of where you want Petkovic because he's offering you a little bit more flexibility, drops in slightly different areas, and we know what his close control is like. It's incredible. Then, like you say, the question is, that right and left. I mean, I think Maya has to be played somewhere.
And Kramaric too, just the way he ended this season. Even though, for God's sake, I forgot to mention this when we were going over the Portugal game. For some reason, he just doesn't know when to shoot. He just has to fake a shot. He gets into a good scoring position, does a fake shot. It's not FIFA, guy. Andre, it's not FIFA. Just shoot.
Yeah. I mean, I think the question will be, like you say, do you go slightly more traditional at one point? Because ultimately, Kramaric on the left, Mayer on the right is very much not a traditional. It's a very narrow formation, which is great against Spain because you want to force them out wide. But against Albania, you're going to want to use the width.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to be a little bit more traditional. That's maybe where you see, not for a full game, but you see Vlasic.
Could be.
Maybe where you see Maturana because he likes drifting about. And obviously Perisic as well. Pasalic, there's a lot of options. Maybe even
Piazza. Maybe even Piazza could start the game against Albania.
Yeah,
just to give that width.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these players will just be coming on as options. And if you need to change the game, this is what you need to do. But they're very good options to have.
No, as I said, I think this is the best depth we ever had, and it's not just that it's good depth. It's you have different players, different styles of players in every position. So if you need somebody more attacking, you can bring Baturina instead of Kovacic. If you need somebody a winger who's not gonna drop into the midfield, you bring in Perisic, you bring in Piazza, you bring in Pasalic. You have Rudimir and Petkovic, two very different types of strikers. Not Shutala, but Stanisic and Juranovic, two very different right backs. Sosa, Gvardiol, two very different left backs. Whatever kind of issue we have, we can probably sort it out just with a sub.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing that was an issue in the group stages in Qatar was Gvardiol, Sosa weren't in the squad long enough at that point, and the same with Maya and others. For you to truly know, actually, for Dalic to truly know, how do I best use this piece? What change can I do?
Yeah.
And he's worked that out now.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're not gonna trust Dalic, we can't trust anybody.
Exactly.
Next question: do you have full confidence in every player selected for the final squad, and will they each make some sort of impact? I mean, we just touched on that. I think the only players that won't make an impact are probably Ivušić and Labrović, except if we win 2 games and then the last game is like, hey, here, have a game to Ivušić, probably Ivušić because he's the second choice. Okay. And I can see every other player getting at least a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I say, we've said it before, Vida's there for vibe.
Okay, Vida. Yeah,
he doesn't need to play a minute to have a positive impact on the squad. And that's why, that's the benefit of having
that's why he's there.
In 2026, we might even be saying the same about Modric. You don't need to have him on the pitch, but because he's been there, done everything, probably at that point got 200 caps.
Yeah.
You bring him along because it's important to have that sort of character about.
Yeah. If he's still there, we hope.
Yeah. I think of the outfield players who, other than Vida, who we might not see, like I say, it is Piazza and Marko Pasalic, but I don't think it's really as light on them. And I think, really, it very much depends on game state. If it's a case that you lose against Spain and draw against Albania, then there is not the forgiveness in the Italy game to be able to be trying things, to be able to be trying to be cute or anything like that. Like you say, obviously, Ivizic, Labrovic, they're not necessarily going to make a big impact in Germany this summer. Labrovic can make it next season if he wants to.
Yeah, maybe. He also asked, what do you think of, what are your thoughts on Luka Sucic? Brilliant player, probably, when Modric leaves the squad, probably the player to replace him in that position.
Yeah. Pretty much.
He was great against Portugal. Sadly, he missed that 1-on-1, which got saved by Costa. But he was great. No,
he's grown to be a little bit more sensible.
Yeah,
I think in Qatar we probably thought he's a very attacking option to go on. Now he's sort of got a bit more of the defensive stability.
Yeah, he can now play both ways.
Yeah.
Easily.
Maya was what people thought for quite a while would turn into the new Modric, but Maya, love him to bits. He doesn't have the sense to go back and do things defensively, whereas Sucic does. Maya will become, I don't know what Maya will become. He'll become Maya, but he's a different option rather than something that's going to slot naturally into what we have now.
Yeah. Last question: what do you think of Pogracic? I think he's fine. just that.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I think it is pretty even between Pogracic and Erlich in terms of who you play. I don't think really you lose much either way, whether you're a fan of one or not a fan of the other. As to their actual quality, you're always going to be playing just alongside him. So really, the question for Dutch isn't which one of these better, is actually who does he feel better with?
Yeah.
Because that's who you play. He's there to be a chemistry player, really.
Yeah.
Rather than you know, it is almost like the Vida role. You know, Lovren had a very specific role in terms of, you know, also moving the ball, shouting, organising, you know, and that's sort of what Jutlo is going to grow into, in terms of being sort of the ball progressed from the central defensive area for, you know, Kovacic, for Ilic as well. You know, their job is going to be, you're the person you're the chess piece that needs to move around to make sure that the better players around you, no offense to them, are able to perform their roles to their fullest.
Yeah.
You're the guy they pass to when the goalkeeper isn't available for the back pass.
You just have to do your job. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's a job of cycling the ball, really.
Yeah. Just get the ball to Kovacic, Brozovic, Modric, Gvardiol, anybody. Just pass it to anybody in that squad, and you're doing your job.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to be the simple defender, and he's, you know, by default one of them too.
Yeah. So I think that does it. I mean, we were kind of short on time, so I think we kind of flew past some things, but maybe we'll get an episode during the Euros.
We flew past Hajduk.
So did Juric.
Just like Ivan Juric. Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of flew past some things, but if you're free, we'll see. We'll try to do. If not, I'll probably do one episode myself during the Euros. But we'll see. We'll try to cover I'll try my best to cover, at least get another episode during the Euros out, especially if we get into the knockouts, which I hope we do, and if we go far, then especially then. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you like, you know, seeing our, should I say again, beautiful mugs, or should I resort to a more realistic word?
Yeah, thank you for viewing, and thank you for listening.
And we're sorry.
Let us know which experience you prefer. Just blank screen or
well, listen, both experiences are there. If you want to listen to just the audio is still going to be up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, whatever you listen to your podcasts on, and YouTube is just going to have, obviously, the video. So hey, we're here, we have that. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and we'll see you hopefully next week when Croatia wins 2 games.
Have to wave now.
Bye.
Have to remember to do that.
And hopefully Scotland gets a good result.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
and hopefully England don't. That's the second.
Oh, hopefully Pixie does a mastermind and just beats them 4-0.
Yes.
I'm exaggerating. 1-0. Anyways, thank you.
I work out in my Serbia kit at work, so that'll be fun in the gym.
I don't think you should if that result comes to reality.
I mean, I don't think I should admit to it on here for a start.
So yeah, thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you hopefully next week. Bye.
Bye.
You can wave now.